Hey everybody, we are live with Denton Legends, the Hope Trust. Thanks for being in here today, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Glad to be here. Glad to be a legend.
Yeah, it's a new one for me.
Well, really appreciate you guys coming by. It's been a long time dream, honestly, to have you guys in the studio. I've been a fan from afar for a while, and you guys are always you guys are always in that top tier of Denton musicians. I feel like where when people say, you know, what's Denton got? They're always talking about the Hope Trust.
Oh,
so
that's nice. Thanks.
of course. So let's talk about why we're here first and foremost, and then we'll get into a few things about the band and you guys and all that good stuff. Y'all have a show coming up October 5th, so this Thursday at the Campus Theater. Benefiting the Greater Denton Arts Council.
Yes.
Which I didn't even realize that the Campus Theater did shows. So
this is a new thing that Mike's been working on. You want to tell him about it?
Yeah, well, Jake, you're also on the board of GDAC, the Greater Denton Arts Council is a technical owner of the Campus Theater, but DCT is the tenant there. But we've talked a long time about doing some sort of concert thing. You know, ever since we've been in this town, people think, oh, it'd be cool to play in the campus, and I mean, I can maybe count on one hand the number of actual music shows that have been done there.
I've seen a band playing there once.
Yeah, and so we're excited to partner with DCT in doing this event, and as a fundraiser for the Greater Denton Arts Council. And if you're not familiar, Greater Denton Arts Council is an entity that provides grants and programming to education programs and art. We have the Patterson Appleton Arts Center down on Bell, and it's a great organization. It's been around a long time, and so we're excited to apply our craft towards supporting it. And it's been great. We've been getting set up the last couple of days, and should be quite a fun little extravaganza of technologies.
It's going to be top-notch production value.
Well, I'm super excited. Speaking of top-notch production value, can you give us a little taste of what we should expect?
Well, we're going to play our new record. The new record's called Passengers. It's going to come out in January, but we're going to play it front to start and
front to start, front to back.
Front to back, that too.
That too.
Backwards and forwards.
And so they just installed a whole new lighting system, and we've gotten the DCT's lighting guy, Les, he's going to put it through its paces, I think, in ways that he's never done before. And
we have a visual specialist, Michael Petty. He's going to join us. He's a really cool dude that does cool stuff.
So we got the video screen up there. We're going to do a lot of fun things. And so we'll be playing the new album, and then we'll play a smattering of some of our older stuff.
The classics.
The classics, the hits.
The hits, yeah.
Super cool.
So.
Well, and the song that we just heard from you guys, the little taste, the sample, was that from the new record?
It is, yeah.
Very cool.
Je vais bien.
And when does that drop in?
Sometime in January. We're coordinating all of the aspects of that, vinyl pressing and all that stuff. So
it will be available on vinyl.
It will be.
Yes, it's our first vinyl pressing. We're very excited.
We are.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
We feel legit now.
Yeah.
So.
The thing about it, it's like, listen to Dire Straits, dropping the needle on it. That has a thing, and so we'll be able to do that thing with our record. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll sound, well, I think it sounds as good as Brothers in Arms, but, we think it sounds pretty dang good.
Yeah, we're proud of what we made. So
that's exciting. Super, super cool. So if somebody on the off chance has not heard of the Hope Trust before, if you had 10 seconds to explain the band, how would you do it?
Elevator pitch. I would say, we do there's probably a Petty influence, Tom Petty influence mixed with like Depeche Mode and maybe a little Wilco and maybe a little Kraftwerk. I don't know.
Kind of like Americana rock, but with, synthesizers and sort of new wave kind of stuff thrown in there. So it's fun. It's thematically dense sometimes, but also just good music to put on. So nothing that's going to tax your ears.
Somebody once said thinkers rock, so I'm quoting them.
Thinkers rock. I like it.
So
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So you guys have been in Denton for quite a while.
Mike moved here in 98, and I moved here in 99.
Yeah, so about almost 20 years now.
Yeah, a long time.
Man. And you guys came here as UNT students for music?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
we abandoned that as well.
Yeah, I got a general studies degree, which is like a triple minor, and ended up being music, philosophy, and history. three of the most unemployable skills ever.
And I did the same, substituting music for English, so philosophy, history, and English. So we read some books and learned how to not get jobs. And,
So that's why I'm a lawyer now.
yeah.
But no, and I think we had a great time at UNT. I learned a lot about music, and I mean that's the reason we stayed. Is where else are you going to go and have so many great musicians you can just call and play? I mean, for this latest album, we've had some lineup changes, and we've got two new members of the band that are fantastic. But
They're ringers.
they are
I'm joking.
But they're great. I mean, you can always find somebody who's really good and can add something interesting to what you're doing, and so it's always an exciting place. I think about having to live somewhere else, we might have to.
Yeah, if we were stuck where we grew up, finding somebody to fit into our band would be like pulling teeth, I'm sure.
Yeah,
So.
but no, it's great. So we've got no shortage of good friends who are fantastic musicians, and some much more successful at being musicians than we are. And but
My competition is only with myself. So make a better record every time.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that's what's been great about it is we lost our band member Jeremy Buller. He moved to Seattle a few years back, and we thought about folding up the band, and we did actually for a little while. Yeah. But then we got the bug. Kelly started writing some more, and so he brought a lot of textural kind of experimental sounds to the picture that we were missing. And since that we've brought in Nicholas, and we've gotten into synthesizers a lot too, and so that's really enabled us to get a whole new sound palette that from the 90s rock school that we grew up in, it was synthesizers aren't cool and straight ahead guitars, but really bringing in that element has been a lot of fun for us, and trying to bring some colors in and something that just...
And our interests changed too. I mean, I don't listen to the same stuff I listened to in 2004 when we played the very first Hope Trust gig,
Yeah.
That's just part of the evolution and growth of our interest.
True.
Yeah.
So have y'all's influences changed over time, and then with that, the band has changed?
Probably to a degree, yeah.
Yeah, and I think just incorporating, I mean, you listen to what you listen to because you like it, but I mean, I probably listen to a lot of older music anyway. I don't listen to a ton of new stuff.
I think a lot of it has to do with just expanding our skill set. When I started, you start with a guitar and you learn to play some songs and stuff, but you do that enough and you want to get into some other stuff. You chase a different rabbit down a different trail, and you start playing the keyboards a bunch. I wrote a lot of this record on the bass guitar and the piano, whereas, like our first record I really wrote around the guitar. Mm-hmm. So just finding a different instrument to express my voice on, not having the habits that I have on guitar on the piano allows me to really trace down some different ideas. So.
And is that really intentional that you want to continue reinventing what
Absolutely,
you're doing?
Yeah. I mean, I think my interest in music is much larger than what the Hope Trust does, but my skill set and ability to communicate through music has, profound limitations on it. So, yeah.
Well, and I think too, where we started out when Kelly did the first album, he was living in New York at the time, came back here and recorded it, and thinking about being in New York, he very much wanted to bring that southern thing to it. So it was a lot of pedal steel, a lot more kind of rootsier sounding.
It was charming up there to be where I was from.
Yeah, and he wanted to express that part of his identity. But now, since being back here, that's much less important. It's more important to really just kind of, where do we want to go? What do we want to do? There are no rules. We can really have a lot of fun.
Well, I think that first record, too, that was really kind of born out of this time in my career. I used to be the drummer for a band called The Lonelies. Michael played guitar in that band. Our first bass player, Andy Odom, played guitar in that band. That was Doug Burr's band. We were making Americana music, and it was very much in this sort of genre. And I think it was pretty natural for that to influence that first record. Mm-hmm. But the more I got out on my own, sort of pursued my own thing, that shifts, So,
yeah. Now, you guys are brothers. Where did y'all grow up?
Alvin, Texas. Right in Brazoria County, right there, that got flooded like crazy here the last couple.
For real, yeah. Our parents' house was pretty screwed up too, which
getting quite a
safe.
remodel. So,
yeah.
But our grandparents, they never lost power, never lost water. My parents took a little on, so now they've got some definite remodeling to do, but they needed to anyway. So that house needed some love. But it's good, But it's basically we were born on a bio, literally.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, it's great. We moved up here though. We do miss the sea.
Yeah, I miss the ocean. That's a
Yeah.
pretty big player in my interior life. So, yeah.
So you said, when from where you were from, it would have been tougher to make this same music there than in Denton. Why do you think that is?
I mean, Alvin, Texas is very much a working class place. You've got rice farms there. You've got some sort of peripheral Houston chemical plants in the area.
Either work in agriculture or the oil patch.
Yeah, and that presents a certain kind of life and a way of thinking that I think we probably didn't feel close to whenever we kind of grew into our own identities.
But also, I mean, we mentioned earlier having all the musicians, but also, the studio capabilities. In fact, Kelly's co-owners in the studio here, and this whole record was kind of developed over the course of building the studio out, and just having that technology and equipment available has really been a boon and a great tool for letting us, try to get this stuff down. I mean, down there, in order to get a studio, you'd have to get a real studio. I used to work in one in Houston. It was a really nice commercial place, but also very expensive.
Yeah, and technology is just, I mean, it's amazing how cheap and flexible it is now. So
yeah, with digital, I mean, it sounds exactly what you want to put onto it, but also, we talk about microphones or equipment and things like that go into making a record. The quality has really risen, and the price point's gotten so low that it's really affordable to get top-notch signal path making a record. And if you pull your resources with some other guys, you can really put together a nice facility, and that's kind of what we've focused our energy on. And I think it allows us to keep making records going forward without a lot of extra expense of having to book $1,000 a day at a studio or however much, I mean, or even $500 a day. It gets really expensive. So.
I endured all that poverty in my 20s. So, yeah.
And what's the name of the studio?
Mockingbird Sound.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's great.
I mean, to your question though, like what the difference between where we grew up and here, to speak about Denton. Denton is there's two universities here. There's liberal thinking, and I use liberal with a small L. There's just an exchange of ideas and people around that can entertain ideas that might be a little more abstract than a working class environment. And I don't mean to say that that's better than that. That's just kind of where we fit in and who our peers are. And
there's less pressure to, if you're going to do a band, to make it or to be the bar band or whatever. It's really, hey, look, I want to work on this thing. Joe, come help me out, and we can make a thing. And it's whatever that is, whether it's serious art or if you want to do something goofy and avant-garde, that exists, and there's a place for it, and there's a place to perform it. There's a market for it, really, so to speak, such as a music market is anymore. But
yeah, I try not to think about that sort of thing.
I'm not thinking financially, but people will want to listen to it and participate,
Sure. So you think you could create music in Denton, and I maybe this isn't the right word, but almost more casually because it's part of the culture, whereas if you were in a place where it wasn't a part of the culture, you'd have to really be serious about it.
Absolutely.
And it may still not be able to come to fruition.
Yeah, I mean, like trying to find a rehearsal space in New York. When I lived in New York, I had a pedal steel player that I played with, and I would go up to Williamsburg into this just really, I gotta make sure I don't swear in describing it, just a really crummy facility. And you hear other bands just blaring through the walls, and you pay $800 a month for this little squat of a place where your gear might or might not get stolen. That's hard. That's hard on making music. It's hard on creativity. Living in a place where you have to make so much money just to sustain your life really limits your ability to be creative. Yeah. Creativity is a luxury, and so you need to be in a place that can afford you that luxury. And Denton, for the most part, has been pretty affordable. I feel like that's changing to a degree.
Sure.
And I think that will, to some degree, have a negative impact on the ability to retain creative people or attract them. But I think that's something that the city's going to have to work out for itself. And yeah, it's part of growing up. So
The other side of that is, though, when you have a limited window, let's say you have to spend money to go to a studio and get the musicians in there, it takes a focused effort where you have to do that planning. Whereas by virtue of having the luxury of a place to record, we have taken a long time to record this record for better or worse.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes getting in there and hammering it out is a better way to get things done and
More effective.
yeah. But you kind of get your one shot and that's it. Whereas we've had the ability to go back and revise or recut things and that kind of thing. So
Infinite revision or digression, whichever
you want to call it.
Very cool. So you guys have been in Denton for over a decade now. How have you seen it change?
Well, I mean, let's take the Square, for instance. I mean, we used to play church gigs over in the Fine Farts Theater. And, we'd come out on a Sunday, and the only other thing that would be open was the bookstore at the Opera House. And it was, it would be a ghost town. It really was a thing, though. You come and hang out on the Square maybe to hang out with a group of people, but it was never, it wasn't as lively. Whereas, I drove down here on a Friday night last weekend, and it was just nuts. Jaywalkers almost hit some, and
Don't do that.
yeah, I try not to, but they shouldn't be there. Just now, it's hard to find a parking spot. When I first started practicing law, I was down at the corner of the Square, and on a day like today, you would see absolutely nothing on the Square, maybe until lunchtime. But it's just grown up so much. There's so many great restaurants and music venues, and it's just a much more lively town. And back then, though, if you wanted to go do something fun, we'd go to Dallas or whatever, and it was a much quicker drive to Dallas in those days. But
It's true.
now, I mean, I don't leave town unless I absolutely have to. There's plenty to do. There's always a great bar or restaurant to visit. If you want something to do, this town's got it, and it's got it in a way that's got its own vibe, and maybe I hate that word, but it's got its own
feel. It feels
feel.
separate. It doesn't feel...
It's got an identity.
Yeah, it feels separate from Dallas or Fort Worth.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So so over time, you feel like it's gotten more attention, or it's gotten more creative, or
I think just through the sort of technological and boom or whatever of the internet and stuff, I think it's easier to share ideas, and it's easier to get an idea how to monetize creativity. I think Denton has started to monetize its creativity more, which creates industry, it creates jobs, it creates profits, it puts money in people's pockets. I think to a degree, I think people are somewhat over concerned with that aspect of it. And that's why you see little corny stuff in stores sometimes that has no real bearing on Denton or life at all. But I think Denton, I think everywhere you go, pretty much people have an easier time selling stuff and making money at it.
You kind of see that. It's not unique to Denton. I mean, I think there's a lot of towns, they've capitalized on their town squares and their cuteness and developing an identity. And I think Denton's got an exceptional location and a lot of great things that many of those other towns don't have. But I mean, people are proud of their towns, and I think that's tracked also with social media, that people can kind of develop that identity.
It's post suburbanization, It's
that sounds so grad schooly.
well, whatever. Yeah, I mean,
I'm just busting your chops, man.
But that's what it is. Everybody used to work in the cities. Then everybody moved out to the suburbs. I think a lot of that cultural identity that cities used to possess, it became pretty generic in the suburbs. And I think what we're seeing now is people sort of cultivating their identity where they are, and they're doing it more effectively than they used to. So
yeah. And you see it too. I mean, I think in terms of sort of business development, I think most I heard something on the radio the other day about how most new employment is from startups, and you see that startup culture here. Something that I think we've done a good job of trying to promote. And it's fraught. It's just like anything else, though. You got anytime something becomes successful, it becomes more expensive.
Sure.
It kind of pushes out people who kind of that this was their baby, and people don't like that. They push back, but I think that's part of the growing pangs of a town like we are, and with I think 60,000 people a year, I think something like that, moving into the North DFW area. this place is going to grow. I mean, growth is inevitable, and what we can influence, we can't control anything, but what we can influence is what kind of growth we're going to have. And so I think Denton has done a great job. You know, both the city and the chamber and all these groups have done a good job trying to promote the kind of town that creative people will want to stay and live in. You know, we've got 2 universities. We're going to always have an influx of creative people, particularly with UNT doing its music and arts program and TWU doing a lot of great programs as well. Those people are always going to come here. They're going to be attracted to this place. What we need to do is make sure we've got opportunities for them to ply their trades and do so and be able to continue to live and work here. We're kind of at that crossover point where it's starting to get kind of expensive. I mean, the real estate boom is quite a boom, and you know, there's no real sign of it coming back anytime soon. But you know, I think we'll continue to see how that plays out. But it's
But I think it's important in that, you know, that there's organizations like the Greater Denton Arts Council.
Bringing it back full
That's
circle.
Yeah, man.
salesman. Yeah.
Hey, no, but it's important. I think it's important to support the creative people around you. If you like the music of the bands that are around you and you like to go see them play, buy their records, buy their shirts. Make it worth their while to be creative, you know? Like, if it's important to you, put your money where your mouth is and value it.
Yeah,
So.
and back to the Greater Denton Arts Council, it's one of those things where we've had so much growth. One of the big things we do is getting started with the arts is trying to get kids from schools into seeing plays and hearing music events at the universities or from the community theater. And the growth of the school district has outpaced our ability, the organization's ability to promote those programs. And so it's really important that Greater Denton Arts Council, the community actually support this in a way that's going to help continue those programs and continue that relevance so that kids who don't normally get the opportunity to go see a play or hear a symphony.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got fantastic symphony from our college. You know, it's it's a great opportunity that very few cities, school districts have that opportunity to have, and you know, that we can continue that and expose kids to art and creativity so that they'll be lifelong participators, maybe not becoming musicians or whatever, but people who have some culture and can, you know, have an enlightened view of the world and a broad view of the world. And I think that's important. It foments good citizenship and participation and really brings people together. And I think nothing brings people together like music and art. So music is something that we think of as ephemeral, but, you know, in light of Tom Petty and everything, like there's nothing brings you together like, you know, hearing that opening sequence to a American Girl. You know, it's like just you hear that and everybody knows it and they're into it, and it brings, no matter what your political, religious view is, whatever.
Everybody could agree yesterday, no matter what they think about guns and Las Vegas, they can agree that it sucks that Tom Petty died.
Yeah,
You know?
True. So true. Well, speaking of not Tom Petty, going backward a little bit in conversation, because here at the Denton Convention and Visitors Bureau, you know, my boss says it all the time. We can't stop the growth of Denton, but maybe we can help to influence it so that it's growth that we want to see and it's healthy, and the town continues to become more and more and more of what we love, not further and further and further away from what we love. So supporting GDAC and doing these kind of things is extremely essential for all of that going forward. So again, this Thursday, the Hope Trust at the historic campus theater, which is just a really cool facility in and of itself.
It's
if
a
you've never
beautiful
been to the
theater,
campus theater, you got to go just for that. If you've never seen the Hope Trust, you've got to go just for that. If you've never supported GDAC, you've got to go just for that, and you get all three in one, which is pretty nice.
It's a good deal.
What's the ticket price on this thing?
It's $15. All the proceeds are going to GDAC. We are volunteering all of our time and services, bringing in sound system. You know, everything's going straight back into the Greater Denton Arts Council to help with its programs, and
and we've put a lot of work into this to make it a really special show. I think if people come out, they're gonna have a good time.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, again, it is this Thursday at the Campus Theater with the Hope Trust.
7:30 show goes up.
Yes.
It's an early show. It's like a real early show, not like when you go to a bar and it starts at 9. You don't actually start till 12. It's an actual 7:30
You can come to our show and get a good night's rest and go to work tomorrow.
Now
the next
that
day.
is a rarity. So that should sell it right there.
Yeah.
Make sure you check it out this Thursday, everybody. Also, make sure you check out the Hope Trust. The new album is coming soon in January.
That's
yes?
correct. Yeah.
All right. Make sure you check it out. And thank you again, guys, for coming to the
Thanks
studio.
for
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate it. All right, everybody. We will see y'all later. We're going to jump back into the music. Thanks again for coming by. Well, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to check out DentonRadio.com for new Denton artists and where they're playing next. While you're surfing the internet, make sure you check out our friends Classic of Denton at ClassicofDenton.com.